guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I would do a sit down video and share my birth stories with you all and like the whole experience when I had my two beautiful boys. So it's probably going to be a little bit of a long video, so grab your coffees. I've got mine. I have an iced coconut milk latte. I don't know if you guys picked up on this, but I'm addicted to coffee. So yeah, I'm always drinking coffee. But anyways, mum life. I wasn't even addicted to coffee. It happened after I had my firstborn, so just gonna blame it on Kingston. Anyways, I've written down some notes and I'm just gonna jump straight into my experience at the hospital and like my birth and all that. So with Kingston, he was due on the 23rd of June 2016. He was a week late. So basically what happened was we went in on my due date and there was no signs of him coming that day, so they decided to book me in exactly a week. So yeah, they decided to book me in exactly a week down the track and see if I went into labour naturally during that week. So they booked me in for the 30th of June, and what I remember is that me and Anton went for the longest walk ever, like so long, all the way around Kings Park, up hills. Like it was such a long walk to try and get these contractions going. I was trying pineapple, I was bouncing on the birth ball, I was getting down and scrubbing the floor because I literally googled every single like midwife's tale and like tip and trick to try and bring on labor by yourself naturally. I even looked into trying castor oil, but I didn't go ahead with it because of the side effects and just the risks with baby, so I didn't want to try that. But I did buy it and then I chickened out because I was like reading all the bad stories that could happen. So yeah, I was trying all that stuff, and after our big long walk I was exhausted and ended up going to sleep really early. Contractions started that night, so on the 29th of June my contractions were starting, and I just remember like not being comfortable at all and like rolling over all the time trying to get to sleep because the next day at 9 a.m. I was booked in for an induction. Okay, so I just had to go get Kingston a snack. He's out there on the couch watching Blippi, of course, and Kyrie's down for his nap. So anyways, what was I saying? So yeah, that night before we were booked in for our induction at 9 a.m, I started getting contractions, and yes, I was very uncomfortable. I was in and out of the shower. I woke Anton up multiple times saying that it was like hurting and I think like it's about to start, or I think it's starting. So he was like, if you can try hold out to our appointment in the morning, babe. Like, so I did. I waited and didn't get any sleep at all, but we woke up really early the next morning. I think it was like 6:30 in the morning. I had a long shower, probably for like the fourth time, and had some food and basically just got ready to go to my appointment really early. So we were on our way to our appointment and the contractions were so strong, so I was in a lot of pain. Every little bump we went over on the road hurt and I was almost in tears, I think. And I just remember, like, because King Eddie's has really crappy parking, like there's no hospital parking whatsoever, so it took us so long to find a car park, but we eventually found one. And I just remember walking across the road and getting a contraction right as we were in the middle of the road, and I had to stop walking. And I just remember Anto like putting his hand up and like stopping traffic, and me just standing there like while my contraction was happening and breathing. And then once it was gone, I was able to like continue walking towards the hospital. So basically once I got into the maternity suite, I was put straight into, I think they're called like, you know, those rooms where they check you. And I was checked by one of the midwives there. I did have my own midwife throughout my whole pregnancy. I went through the midwife program at King Eddie's, and honestly, I could not recommend it more. I had a midwife throughout my whole pregnancy. I had two, but I had one main midwife, and her name was Sue, and I'll never ever forget her because I had such a good experience with her. So yeah, I would really recommend that program. That way you're with that one person every single appointment, and she's there for you like on call when you need. With Kyrie, I was seeing someone different every single appointment and didn't know who was delivering my baby. So I much rathered my experience with Kingston. Anyways, we got into the hospital. One of the midwives there checked me straight away because I was in quite a bit of pain. And she was like, "Congratulations, you're 4 centimeters dilated." So me and Anton were like, "What?" She was like, "So you're in labor for sure?" I was like, "I knew it." Like, I was in that much pain the night before. I was like, something is definitely happening. So when they were like, "It's good news, you're 4 centimeters, which means we won't send you home." They were like, if you were any lower than 4 centimeters, we'd probably send you home to sort of wait it out a bit. I was like, oh my gosh, like I couldn't believe it. She was like, "So we can give you some pain relief if you want." And I opted straight for the gas. One, because I've heard funny stories about it, and two, like I've never had happy gas before, I don't think. So I just wanted to try it. So they brought that in, and I was breathing in the happy gas. So was Anton. We were both kind of just like so excited and happy because we were so ready to have our baby. So I ended up having too much happy gas, and I ended up throwing up and feeling really nauseous and sick. So I'm pretty sure it was from the happy gas, not just from me being in labor. But we were both really excited. We sent the messages to our families and we were like, it's time to have a baby. Like, everyone was so excited. I just remember the feeling. So I'll insert some pictures here of us waiting in this waiting room. So yeah, once that happened, we got in contact with my midwife Sue, and she came into the hospital. We were moved into the birth and labour suite. So we moved into the room where we was going to give birth to Kingston. And yeah, they were kind of like, make yourself at home. This is where you're going to be for the next however long it takes for you to have your baby. So it was just so exciting. Anyways, so my midwife came in and broke my waters. Such a weird feeling. I just remember walking around the room and having a shower as the contractions got stronger and stronger. And I think I got to about 6 or 7 centimeters until I was like crying out for the epidural. Yeah, I was in so much pain. So just trying to think. Yeah, so I was having like a lot of showers. Anton was massaging my back a lot. That's right. So I was put into a massive room. Like, it was huge. I was like, are you sure this is where I'm going to be giving birth? Because it just feels so big. Like, had a massive lounge in it, like a little mini kitchen area, bathroom. Just, it was really, really big. But I think my midwife sort of hooked me up. I'm not sure, but she didn't say. But for the first part of my labor till I'm asked for the epidural, I had my dad, my mum, my sisters, Anton's mum, Anton's 2 younger sisters in the room while I was in labor. And I remember like rolling around on the bed, and I had to throw up once again, and just seeing like Anton's younger sisters right there, like watching me, like, oh my gosh. So I think once it started to get a bit full on, I was kind of like, well, I think my midwife kind of got the vibes and was kind of like, okay, everyone needs to get out because Ashley is getting stressed out, I think, from everyone being there, because I kind of felt like I needed to just like make sure everyone else was okay. But yeah, I asked for the epidural around 6-7 centimeters, so I got the epidural. Once I got the epidural, within that hour I dilated fully to 10 centimeters apparently. So they got the doctors in, apart from my midwife, they got doctors in to check, and one of the doctors checked and she told me that I was ready to push. I was fully dilated. So they got people in, my midwife, they got me set up, ready to go, ready to start pushing. And so I did, and I started pushing. This was for literally about half an hour to 45 minutes. I was pushing. And at the time, Kingston's heart rate was racing and then stopping, like slowing down very, very slowly. So they were getting a bit stressed out about that. Also, my heart rate apparently was slowing as well. I'd had, I don't know, I felt like it was a bad experience with the epidural. I was shaking so much. I know that's a side effect, but I was sick. I felt really out of it. So I don't know, I feel like I was just feeling like almost like I was ready to go to sleep, like literally. So once the doctors checked me, and I'm sorry if this is all over the place, by the way, this is coming straight from up here and I'm just trying to go through it all in my head and share with you guys exactly how everything happened. So once the doctors checked, said I was 10 centimeters, started pushing for about half an hour, 45 minutes. Kingston's heart rate was dropping and racing. They started stressing out and they were like, okay, well, he's not like moving, he's not coming down anymore. And so they checked me once again. And then a different doctor looked at my midwife and said, basically like, oh no, like, and my midwife was like, what? And they were like, she's not fully dilated yet. So my midwife was furious. She was angry. She was like, what do you mean? You guys checked her and told her she was ready to push. She's 10 centimeters and I wasn't. So that was what was stressing Kingston out. He was trying to come out because he felt me pushing and he couldn't because I wasn't fully dilated. There wasn't enough room. So he was stressing out and his heart rate was dropping and I was stressing. Anton was stressing because you could imagine like hearing your baby's heart rate just stopping and then starting up again and then stopping. And then we started to sense that the doctors and midwives, like I had a lot of people in the room at that time checking me and we're like, what's happening kind of thing. They were all like kind of, it was too much. So that doctor said to my midwife, we need to prepare her for a C-section. We need to take her into theatre right away. Baby is stressing too much now. We need to get him out. So they upped my epidural. They prepared me for theatre. It was so scary because I just literally remember falling asleep, like just feeling so out of it and not really knowing what's going on. I was shaking so much from the epidural, so I was freezing cold. And so they pushed me through to theatre. They told Anton he could come. And basically, yeah, I just remember being like, babe, you need to stay awake. Like, you need to stay awake. And I was like out of it. And then they pushed me through to theatre, and literally like the second I was in there and they put like the lights on and everything, they were like, okay, we don't have time to do a C-section. You need to start pushing right now. And I was like I kind of snapped my eyes open and I was like, what? And they were like, you need to start pushing right now because this baby is coming out. And I was like, oh my God. And I was like, okay, like let's do it, because I was worried about baby. So let me just have a drink because I'm getting all the feels right now from these memories.
Well done. Well done. Oh, you're doing awesome. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going.
Okay, just breathe.
Okay.
Just breathe.
Little ones, little
Well
ones.
done.
That's it. He's got a
can
forehead
do it.
head.
Well done, babe.
Guess what, Mum?
So basically I pushed like 3 or 4 times and he came out. Like, he just came out. Like, I know I had an episiotomy and they had to use the forceps to help get him out, but he came out like that. I couldn't believe it. I was in shock. I was crying. I was looking at Anton. I was like, oh my God, do we just have him? Then they put him on. They didn't even let him touch my chest. They brought him over so I could see him, put him just above my chest. He didn't even touch my chest really. I could see that he was dark blue, literally dark blue. They took him away straight away. They didn't even give Anton a chance to cut the cord or anything. They did it themselves. They called a code blue or something over the radio or the hospital speaker thing. And I was looking at Anton like, what the hell? Like, where's my baby? Because they took him behind me where I couldn't see. And my midwife came over and she looked like she was in tears. Like, she was like, it's going to be okay. You've had your baby. It's going to be okay. And I was looking at her starting to freak out, literally like, what? Where's my baby? Like, is he okay? Where have they taken him? So they basically took him. I know they do take babies like away to try and clear their noses and everything. But there was no cry. There was nothing. There was just a whole bunch of people with baby behind me, which I could hear. 2 people were even speaking, 2 of the doctors were speaking in a different language. So yeah, that was really, really scary. Anton was crying, so we were both crying, and he was like, it's okay, babe, like, it's all good. And then they were like, we need to take baby down to ICU or somewhere. They said somewhere. So they ended up taking baby, and I just looked at Anton and I was like, you go with our baby, like, you go with him and you don't leave him. So I feel so emotional. So Anton went with baby. I needed a couple of stitches, so they stitched me up, and my midwife went with baby, I'm pretty sure, because she wasn't there when they pushed me up to my room. So they basically got me ready, all fixed up, and they pushed me up to my room, up to the ward, and basically left me there for about an hour without telling me what was happening. So I was in this room after all that, no baby, no partner, which is fine, no midwife, no family, no nothing. I was there for an hour, left to just think the worst. And eventually after an hour, so apparently my family heard the code blue over the speakers as well, and they kind of knew that it was to do with me. So they were freaking out and crying and panicking. So after about an hour, my midwife comes flying in. She was like, oh my God, Ashley, I am so angry that they left you in your room. Like, we didn't even get told. Like, she didn't know where they had taken me. I think she went with baby, to be honest, for a little bit. But straight after my midwife, my family came in, and she was like, the midwife was like to my family, I'm so sorry that you weren't told that Ashley was pushed up to the ward. I will have a word to the doctors or the other nurses or whatever straight away, because they shouldn't have done that. I started bawling my eyes out. My whole family, my mum and dad, my sisters, they came over straight to me and like cuddled me, and I was bawling my eyes out because I was just like, I don't have my baby, like, because I didn't know, like, no one had filled me in yet on what was happening, and Anton was down there. So yeah, anyways, everyone was crying. I was crying. Once we'd calmed down, my midwife was like, he's okay. He's all right. He just needs help breathing, because I can't remember what the word is called, but where they like meconium? I don't know what it is, where they like poo inside you. So Kingston was that stressed. So that happened, and I think he breathed it in. I can't quite remember, but he stopped breathing anyways, so he needed help at the start. So once my midwife had told me that he was okay, a little bit of stress had come off, but I was still heartbroken, upset, because everybody works you up, even yourself, but like you get told about that first cuddle, that first skin to skin, the very first moment you get to cuddle your baby, and I feel like that was taken away from me. Not to get me wrong, if Kingston needed help, which he did, then I would rather him get the help than the cuddles, like, of course. But I was just all sorts of an emotional wreck. Eventually, it was like, so I gave birth to Kingston at 10:29 p.m. We went in at 9 a.m. for our booked induction, but I was already 4 centimeters. So it was basically all day labor. So my family had to leave basically straight away after giving me a cuddle, making sure I was all right. They had to leave because it was just too late for them all to be there. So they basically left after that. And then eventually Anton came. Kingston was beautiful. He took a few photos for me, said that he's all good, like just was able to show me some photos basically and a little video of him on all these machines to help him breathe and all that. I was still quite out of it, to be honest. I got a very high dosage of epidural, and I was just absolutely exhausted from the whole labor. So Anton did go home that night, which was fine because I basically passed out, like as soon as they turned the lights off, passed out. However, they did come in, and the nurses did come in and check my legs to see if I would be getting feeling back in my legs. And I think it was like 4 or 5 hours later, and they came in, a couple of hours later, they came in with ice cubes and they just dabbed it along my legs to see if I could feel it. I couldn't. So then like 4 or 5 hours later, they came in with like a little pin or something, and they pinned me. They like pricked me a little bit to see if I could feel it, and I couldn't. You could tell they were trying not to panic, but I could just read them straight away. So I was like, oh no, like my mum has told me some stories about the epidural because my mum's mum, my nana, was kind of against epidurals, but that's just like old school. So they were worried, but by the morning when I actually woke up from sleeping and all that, I could wiggle my toes and move my legs around and all that. So I think I'm gonna have to keep this video just to Kingston, and then I'll make another separate video for Kyrie. But anyways, the next morning Anton was in at like 7:30, 8 o'clock on the dot when visiting hours were open, and he brought me a coffee and some, come here baby, come here, hi bub. By the way guys, he has this Minion singlet on, because I haven't put his t-shirt on yet because he was eating Nutella on toast before, and I didn't want him to get his t-shirt all dirty.
I'm really boring.
I've got my eye on you.
Yeah.
That's what it says.
Yeah.
See, because Minion has one eye. You've got one eye and he's watching you.
Yeah.
Why is your eye red? Is it so?
No, it's got black.
It's black.
Yeah.
Do you want me to kiss it better?
No, it's got black.
Oh, okay. My big boy.
Oh, and blue.
Yeah, Mummy will clean that another day.
No, that's skinny.
Daddy?
Yeah.
Okay, Daddy could clean it.
This yucky, Mom.
Yeah, it's yucky.
Okay? Just clean it.
Daddy can clean it when he gets home.
Oh, just clean it.
Kingston clean it?
Yeah.
No, it's too yucky for you.
Oh, Daddy's clean it?
Yeah. Daddy can clean it.
It's your coffee.
It's Mummy's coffee. So guys, basically to just round this story up, the next morning at around 10 o'clock, I was wheeled by wheelchair down to ICU to see my baby for the first time. He was so beautiful. There he is. But it was the best feeling ever just seeing him. It was really sad going into ICU and seeing all the other babies that needed help, and you know, all the premature babies that were absolutely tired. But I will never forget that first cuddle with my baby, and you know, that first feed. And later on that day he was able to come up to my room and stay with me. We stayed in hospital for 5 days on antibiotics, both of us. But I enjoyed those 5 days, and the second night I basically cried for Anton to stay with me and help me. So they must have felt bad, and they ended up getting him a mattress and setting him up in my room, and he was able to stay with me for, I think, 3 out of the 5 nights. So that was really helpful, because I feel like it's just so wrong that they expect the partners to go home. Like, they're just as much a part of it as you are. Like, you want your partner there for the whole experience and to help you. Like, you've just given birth. Like, you don't want to be ringing the bell like all the time, every single time, for a midwife to come in and help you with like the littlest things. Like, that's what your partner is there for. Shh, Mummy's just finishing this off, okay? So I'm just gonna end this video here, since this one is a little bit bored now, which is fine. Can you say goodbye for me? Say bye, guys. Okay, I'm just gonna end this video right now. I'm sorry if I just babbled on. Bye guys. Yeah, so I'm sorry if I just babbled on. I hope you still enjoyed this video and this really like special time in my life, having my first baby. I will be making a separate video for Kyrie's birth story. They were both very different, so keep an eye out for that one. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Let all your friends and family know and get them to subscribe as well. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Say bye. Bye.